Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Pete Torre Show and episode 32. Today's program is brought to you by the Health Channel and PS Business Parks. We are celebrating Women's International Month on this program and our next show. To open it up, today I have two very distinguished guests. My first guest is Andi Buerger. She is the founder of Voices Against Trafficking. As so many of you know, trafficking has become a serious, and very, very sad reality globally. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. My second guest, back for her third time, is Miosotis Jones, the author of an up-and-coming brand new book, Alquimia Del Divorcio. The first guest, Andi, is going to share with you a personal story. I want you to sit back and listen to that. All right, everybody, as promised, with me on the show is Andi Buerger. How are you, Andi?
I'm doing well, Pete. Thanks for having me on.
This topic is just absolutely, I mean, to say that it's critical and that is so important and so disturbing is something that I want all of our viewers now that are watching and listening to pay very, very close attention because this is bigger than we think it is. And the whole thing about human trafficking is appalling. It's sickening. It's very sad. I mean, the list goes on there. And I know that you're going to enlighten us as to what's going on. And before we get into the heart of the matter, can you tell me a little bit about your story, Andi?
Sure, absolutely. Well, Pete, before there was even a term called human trafficking, I was trafficked from 6 months old to 17 years old by immediate family and some extended family members. And, back in the 60s and early 70s, they didn't have even people talking about child abuse, let alone something organized. But anyway, by the time I was 5, things were so bad, the abuse, the obvious violations to my little person and whatnot, that I decided I would take my own life. And so it was my first attempt at suicide. My birth mother said she'd take me out anytime she wanted. So I figured, I'll beat her to the punch. And I went to the curb of my house and I sat there waiting and waiting for a car to be coming by fast enough. And, as I was waiting, I looked into this huge blue sky and I thought, wow, I wonder how big it is, how far it goes. Did somebody make it? And is that somebody bigger than the people hurting me? And in that moment, in my heart, I heard this voice that said, this is not the plan I have for you. Suicide is not the answer. And, in my life, that was God. In other people's lives, it could be something else. But I trusted that voice. Yeah. And I went up to my garage and stood against the door. And I basically just said, if you keep me alive, I'll do whatever you call me to do. And here we are 6 decades later, but it was not easy. The last time my birth mother tried to kill me, I was 17.
Jesus, I don't even know what to say about that. I mean, just to think of that is absolutely, like I said, appalling. When I was talking to you the other day, and now we're having this conversation. That movie with Liam Neeson called Taken.
Yes.
If anyone has seen that movie, that's just a small example of what we're talking about here, and how profoundly sad that is, and it takes away the spirit of the individual going through that.
Absolutely. Their innocence, their soul, many people don't recover. I am not the norm, and it doesn't mean I'm special. It just means that most victims don't have the resources or the support system, if they do manage to escape. And we know that really only 1 in 100 ever actually escape or get out. So we know that it's a very small number. But you're right, like the movie Taken, we all saw that as like, oh, wow, that's in other countries. And people seem to think, well, it doesn't happen here. And that's not true, because we know that every 40 seconds in the United States, a child 18 years or under is taken or lured into something that seems safe, maybe an ad for a job or a party on campus, and then they're gone. And chances of getting them back are very slim if we don't find them in 48 hours.
You said one word that makes all of this really, really scary. The word organized. This is a
Yep.
business, and it's the business of trafficking people. I mean,
Yes. As commodities.
yeah,
I'm sorry. I was just going
no,
to
no,
say,
no,
as
no, no.
commodities, you're right. It is a business worldwide, globally. 160 billion. I don't even know how many commas that is. I wasn't great in math, but 160 billion dollar, 95 billion is all sex trafficking. So you have labor and you have sex trafficking. But and in our country, we're well over 40 million plus, a year, probably close to the billions now. But you're right, it's hugely organized. The cartels, gangs, people that residentially, they see young girls, young boys, they decide to do a little something, have a party or just snatch them, whatever happens, or lure them into what they think is a safe situation.
Is there any part of the country, the U.S., that this is more prevalent than others?
Well, we know the larger cities, obviously more people, more opportunity, but the rural towns and, what we would call maybe mid-America or the country areas, that's also a very prime where there are highways and places to hide the truckers or the areas that you can literally dump somebody if they're of no use to you. So the predators will hide there. They'll use U-Hauls or moving vans, pretending to be moving across the country, and yet they'll have victims in there selling them along the way.
Before we talk a little bit about what we can all do together, can you tell us a little bit about the organization? It's Voices Against Trafficking, or the acronym is VAT.
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit about how that got started, and what are really the key things that you're trying to accomplish.
Absolutely. Voices Against Trafficking was kind of one of those in the middle of the night, God nudges that, okay, I'm getting up, I'm going to write this down kind of thing. My husband and I had started a shelter 14 years ago called Beulah's Place, rescuing at-risk homeless teens off the streets, many of whom were trafficked and many for other reasons. And this one particular night, I just heard, like, your voice is powerful to an extent, but what if you had more voices? Go get more voices. So in 2019, we had a huge event on Capitol Hill, and we launched our awareness programs and let people know from all over the country and Mexico at that time. They brought a huge faction. How can we work together? What can we do to make this better? We had Congress members from both sides of the fence attend, which was great. So fast forward to now, what we're doing, Voices basically is a collection of individuals like you, me, the person down the street, organizations like corporations, nonprofits, media members. And collectively, we are empowered to do more than if it's just Andi's place or your place or that organization by itself. So our members maintain their individual identities, but together we affect legislation. We have a campaign going to get our book that we just released as a tool and a handbook to start conversations, to educate the public. How can you keep your kids safe online? What can the travel industry do? What is the media saying? The media that will put this issue out there, right? It takes courage to do that. So kudos to you for that as well. But we want to get a book in the hands of every member of Congress every year with new voices, new information. Also, every governor and every attorney general, because believe it or not, there are a lot of district attorneys and legislators who won't touch this,
Hmm.
whether they're profiting from it or they just don't think it's an issue. The belief system that, well, if they're a prostitute, they want to be, or, well, if they ran away, it's their fault. And those are just simply not true.
And it's that's sad. I mean, all of this is just sad. What's going on here. I mean, this is that in today's world, that there
Mhm.
would be any sort or level of denial of
Yeah.
this issue. Uh, I know there in their minds there are, they interpret there are more important things to deal with, but something, with the advent of obviously technology and the internet, and especially especially in the last 2 years with the lockdown and COVID, they were on their computers more than ever. Uh,
Absolutely.
uh, uh, you know, it's mind-boggling to think about what is going on with that, and the way that they lure people, and is the trafficking, obviously dumb question, but the majority, in terms of, well, no, you could have boys and girls, right? Both.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. The young men are on the rise, as a matter of fact.
Hmm.
The girls, obviously, that was the easier hit, right, to
Yeah.
grab a girl. But the boys also, there are a lot of dark web sites where you can, get a lot of different things done with a young boy now too.
So how can we be, just mention a little bit right now, how can we do more? How can we be part of the solution? Um, what are the things that we got to be on the lookout for? What are some of those things that will allow us to be a little bit more proactive?
Sure, absolutely. Well, a few of the things that are very simple that anyone can do. If they go to voicesagainsttrafficking.com, there is a list of helplines and hotlines, whether
Okay.
it's the National Human Trafficking Hotline, Suicide Hotline. Put those numbers in your phone now. And if you have young people in your home that are able to understand what those numbers are for, definitely have them put the numbers in too. Because first of all, you never expect to see something, but if you do, we want you to say something and get it reported, anonymously, safely. Another thing is we have to open conversations, Pete, with our kids and with our young people, our
Mhm.
college kids, about this issue. It's not just, it goes beyond stranger danger. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, because there are recruiters on college campuses that are being paid to recruit other young people into
Hmm.
trafficking rings. We know this, they get paid a lot. So we want to make sure that we have a conversation. We're not trying to police you, we're not trying to interfere with your independence, but we do want to protect you, because our most precious commodity, and I think you'll agree, is our children
Yeah.
of any country, any community. And if we don't care if they're missing, if they're being trafficked, if they're being exploited, then that is on us,
Hmm.
as adults. So having a conversation about what's, what's safe, what to look for. One of the stories has been that we encountered was a girl that was targeted. Upper end family, gated house, all that kind of stuff. But the predator watched the girls from the high school leaving every day, and he spotted the one he wanted to get. And so one day he asks for directions and takes her behind a tree or some kind of little shed area, and gave her a burner phone. And he said, "You answer this phone every time it calls, or I'll kill your family." And she had a little sister. And so he also showed up at her house one day talking to the little girl, the little sister. So from sophomore year to senior year, this girl was terrified, and she was sold, and she still had to go to school. She still had to go home. Her parents had no idea until her complete demeanor changed, her grades changed, her whole everything changed, until she could finally tell them what was going on. So that's one example. The other example is, with the kinds of family issues we have these days, dysfunctional families have always been around, but, with COVID and just all this stuff, one of our girls that we rescued, she was left alone 6 days a week with frozen food in the freezer because her mom had a new boyfriend. And mom wanted to be with the boyfriend more than she wanted to be with her daughter. And she had divorced a father who had violated the daughter. And so this girl from 12 to 16 years old was on her own.
Jeez.
And what do you think happens?
Yep.
She gets invited to a party, there's pot, there's, hey, this will take your pain away. And then eventually a 30-year-old woman approached her and took her to lunch, bought her a few gifts, and invited her to meet some friends at a motel about a month later. And those friends wanted activities that this young girl would never have done at 17 or any time if she hadn't been forced to, because the 30-year-old predator told her, "You're the one that will go to jail, not me," if she
Jesus.
told.
I mean, it's this the way I'm thinking of this right now, that we have got to be talking about this ongoing. It's a not a very pleasant
Absolutely.
subject, but it's a reality. It's what's going on, and just think about if that were to happen to your kids.
Right.
And it doesn't matter what social status you're living in, whether you're wealthy, whether you're middle class, whether you're poverty or close to that. It doesn't matter.
No,
It
it
doesn't
doesn't.
matter to the predators, and we definitely have to do something about it. So, to wrap things up, what what's the website first of all?
Okay, voicesagainsttrafficking.com.
Okay.
Voicesagainsttrafficking.com. You'll be able to buy the book. You'll be able to donate if you'd like to help us. We put on quarterly forums. Our next one is March 30th, free on Facebook and YouTube to help educate and inspire action. So we have those. And then, of course, the helplines and hotlines.
Do you have one hotline now that you'd like to share, or one phone number, or just
Yeah.
better to go to the website?
No, I'm going to have to read it though, because I have a lot of numbers in my head. But DHS, the Homeland Security number for suspected trafficking or for victims is 866-347-2423. 866-347-2423. You can call that number if you suspect. I had someone, I live in Oregon, so I had somebody about 3 hours away call me. She saw something, she didn't know what to do. I gave her that number, and within a week, the FBI already has a case open on that situation. So the sooner we act and we talk to each other, the sooner media would, gets the idea that we should be doing more about this. It'll be great. But that's why I speak, Pete. I want to give people hope that it doesn't have to end horribly, but at the same time, we need to do more to support the victims that we can help and to find the ones that are being tormented.
Absolutely. Andi, this has been an eye-opener. It's a big reality check. It's very sobering to hear all of this, but like I said, we've got to get in front and center, and we have to talk about it, because you never know when that's going to strike home.
That's right. And they can bring speakers like me virtually into any classroom, any place, and we're happy to help that way too.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so
You bet.
much for sharing this. This has been very important and timely. So we'll have some future conversations, I'm sure.
That'd be great. Thank you, Pete, so much.
Thank you, Andi. Take care of yourself. God bless.
You too.
Thank you so much to Andi Buerger for sharing with us a reality, a very sad reality of what's going on around the world regarding human trafficking. And I'd like for all of us to get together and start working on solutions for this, because it is a terrible, terrible situation. Now for my second guest today, Miosotis Jones, the author of a new book coming out in 48 hours again, Alquimia del Divorcio. She has shared her personal story on this show before, and today she's going to wrap things up as we get ready for that very exciting launch of her book. Let's listen to her personal story now. All right. With me here, again, we've had the pleasure of speaking twice before, is Miosotis Jones, who is the author of Alquimia del Divorcio, which is about to be launched. How are you today?
Hello, Pete. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me one more time in your show. This is our third time. Pleasure being with you.
This is our third time, and you have become a pro on air. I know it's not just this program, but you've been interviewed by many other folks, and that is a testament to all the excitement that is right around the corner, finally, for the release and the launch of the book. Before we talk about the launch, which is a couple of days away now, if you could just update us once again and refresh our memory as to what inspired you to write this book.
Yes. First of all, this book, Alchemy of Divorce, is a very personal and intimate memoir. And what inspired me to do this book is the fact that I believe that my personal story could help and motivate other people to move on after a breakup or a divorce. I believe that the experience I went through and how I got to be the person that I am today, the businesswoman I am today, the mother, the wife, and the person, the being I am today, is through all the experience I went through. while I was married, during my divorce, and after me trying to find love, trying to find myself, have made me to arrive at one point of my life that I say, you know what, I have been blessed. I have so much. I've been through a lot, but I have learned a lot. And now that I receive so much from life, now it's time for me to give back. And I believe that through this memoir, I could do so. Even at the beginning, it was very hard for me to come out with a memoir because it's like putting myself out there, you know, showing myself in my most vulnerable moments of my life. It's like being naked in front of the world to being judged. But what is important is that is the message. This is what I believe, you know, and that is what have made me come out of my comfort zone. That is my privacy, as you know.
No, and what you just said is so important. We have our lives, and we have the privacy of our lives is so important, because not everybody out there wants what's best for you, and when you do become vulnerable and you tell your story, it's it's a little bit of a risk that you're taking, but at the same time, it will it's helping you to grow as a person, and understanding that your message, your story is going to touch many lives in a very powerful and positive way. And that, at the end of the day, I believe is your purpose, based on all the conversations we've had and what you just shared right now. And that's important. It's going to touch a lot of lives, a lot of folks, women in particular, that have gone through these experiences before, and you're going to be a positive role model for them. And I think that's a very
Oh,
important thing for you, because you're serving others in a very good way. I know that you shared um, the the people and the circumstances that influence you, but none bigger than your mother, who you shared very proudly the type of woman she was, and what it meant for you. Can you give us a very short, um, just idea of how big that was for you?
well, my mom, she's a great human being, you know. She was orphaned very young, so she has to learn to grow up fast. She got married very young. She had me when she was just 17 years old.
Yeah.
So by the time, you know, like um I was 12, my mom was divorced 3 times already. And that, as a little girl, affect me in a way that I dream of that. I dream to have the happily ever after that my mom didn't have or couldn't have. You know, I dream to having a husband, a kid, having a family, growing old with my husband. And then when I grew up, I realized that it's not that easy, you know, that marriage is not a happily ever after. It's many challenges, many things going through in a marriage, in a relationship. And today I see my mom as my hero because she stand up for herself, even though that means getting a divorce and have to raise her kids and work very hard. So for a woman of her time, you know, working and taking care of her children and having a life and not being dependent of anybody. This is something that she showed us, you know, it doesn't matter how hard you have to try, be independent. Mm-hmm. And I believe that her strength it's what have motivated me and my sister to go through life and to be independent women as well, you know. So I barely, you know, I'm very strong person, but if there is one moment of my life that I am not at my best, there's one person I need to call and she'll fix it. She will tell me something, she will say something that will light me up and I will keep going. That's my mom.
That's a powerful testimony to your mom and what she has meant for you and allowed you to really to build the strength within you to be able to do and write this book. So the launch is a couple of days away,
March 20th.
and it's you're finally saying, my God, okay, we're here. It's happened. It's happening. How does
It's
that feel
been,
after all that hard work
oh
and
my
preparation?
God, it's overwhelming, but it's been a lot of work, many hours putting into this, but finally it's coming. It's like an elephant baby, you know, an elephant baby take 18 to 24 months to come. So this is what about that Alchemy of Divorce took to come out. So this is my elephant baby.
Yes, and that's an understatement too. So, um, the launch is coming up. It's I know you've got some friends and family that will be joining for a very special event to roll out the book. Um, I'll have the pleasure of being there as well, and I'm honored
Been looking forward to see
to
you.
participate.
Yeah.
So let's suppose it's 7 days from now, after book is launched. What are your plans after the book is finally out there? What are the things that you're going to be doing?
I would like to keep working on empowerment, you know, and helping other people's organization, whatever I could help to give a speech to help with communities and other group of women that may need help in that personal growth and starting over, you know, after a breakup or a divorce. I think when that happened, our low esteem got very down. We have a lot of fears. We have a doubt that we could do it by ourselves. We feel lonely, we feel unloved, we feel betrayed. So during this process, it's nice to have somebody to have your back, and I hope to do so. Um, I will also like to continue writing in the same genre of self-motivation and personal growth. Um, and then try to grow the company I built, Bigger Purpose. It's a company that have been made especially for my writing career. And through the company, we could keep doing other stuff, growing the company, growing the community, and finding different ways to help.
No, I think this is a fantastic start in that journey to help to share your story, because that's how you're going to be able to connect best with others, and it starts by letting everybody know that you're a human being,
Correct.
and we're all human beings, and we all have our own story to tell. So I think this is going to inspire a lot of folks to maybe step up and say, you know, I've got some things in my life that I went through, and I think it's important for me to share it with others, because who knows, even if I help just one person, even if it's just that one person,
Correct.
I fulfilled my purpose. So I can't wait. I'm excited for you. And a big congratulations. Do you have the copy of the book in there somewhere, or so that people can see the cover, what it's going to look like, or you want to hold back on that?
Yes, we're gonna hold that on back. So
Okay, okay.
uh, yes, yes, we're gonna hold that on that. And then after the 26th, people will know where they could order the book.
Okay.
And they right now they could go to my page, miojohn.com, and download the first chapter for free. So you know, before we finish, I want to do a little wrap up of the book, the content of the book, for the people that haven't seen our previous show,
Hmm.
and hopefully they go back and see them. So Alchemy of Divorce is a very personal and intimate memoir. So I read that book in two parts. The first part, I speak about my struggles and most difficult time while I was married, after I got divorced, and then my failed attempt to find love outside myself before I learned to be in love, to be in a couple with myself. And this is very important, a transition also, of the separation and the divorce. So we go through different phases, and I address some of them, like feeling alone, like you have nobody to hold you back, um, being in grief, dealing with grief, maybe dealing with depression, anger, and all those subjects. And then after that, trying to fall in love or trying to be loved without you being in a relationship with yourself, without even you learn to love yourself first. Then after that, on the second part, the alchemy, I speak about my personal transformation and how I could use my pain and those difficult times for me to use it as a positive anchor in my life, to see who I am, who I really am, and who I want, and not let other people and circumstances dictate who I am and what I want and what I could do. So this is where I show my personal transformation, and hopefully other people could transform their life, empower themselves, and reinvent themselves to start all over again. Now I believe we are wiser, we're older, we could start all over again, and be more realistic about what we expect of life, relationship, and be more empowered of who we are and what we are capable of. And regardless of how difficult and painful was your previous relationship, I encourage people to fall in love again, and to believe in love and marriage and family, So hopefully I could do so through this book. I really wish I could do so, and that's the main reason I wrote this book.
That is absolutely perfect, and it's a great segue to wrapping up our conversation today. Um, and again, congratulations. I know it was a major project on your end, probably the biggest work that you've put your mind to accomplishing because it's personal.
To go
And
out
so,
there, I think that was the big challenge, Pete. Sorry to interrupt.
yeah, yeah,
To go public with, when I started
yes.
the book, it was simple. I write the book, I get a good editor, and that's it. So, but this book have changed my life, the way I wanted to do things, and have literally put me on the spot, because I have realized that the only way I could pass the message across is me giving face to it, is me speaking about. Otherwise, the message will be lost, so we're not going to write it. And then if that means getting out of my comfort zone in order to do that, I'll do that. Sometimes, I still shy, scared of the cameras, and when the team asked me to make a video, oh my God, I got another
Yeah,
response.
yeah, yeah. I remember our
I
early conversations.
later, it takes time to do so, but either being scared, I'm going forward because I believe in the project, and I believe that the book could really help and change some people. So I'm out there, even if I'm scared.
It's changed your life, and I know you're going to change many others. And the next time we talk, you're going to be, I'm going to call you a best-selling author.
Oh my God. Yes, that will be great.
Good deal. Listen, thank you so much for being part of the
Thank
show.
you.
Congratulations. And bigger and better is right around the corner.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for accompanying me through the whole process. You have been close to the project since the beginning.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you once again to Miosotis Jones, who took the courage to write a personal story and to share it with so many that are going through this issue of divorce and all the complications and the reality of all of that. I want to thank you, my viewers and listeners, for being with me on this program. We have a lot of exciting things coming up to you very, very shortly. On this program and one more, we will be celebrating Women's International Month. Some more information on the follow-up show to today. If you got a moment, follow me on all my social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. If you got a moment, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Pete Della Torre. Thank you once again for being with me here today. You have a fantastic week. Take care, and God bless.